so now that I've done one and done a lot more research, it's going to be a lot easier as far as tackling my next one and getting it to look a lot better. So the full helmet, what these are called kabutos. And this mask here is what will be called a mempo. Now there are two periods within the Japanese culture when these actually came out. There's one which was within the wartime period, and then one where these were more of like a fashion, kind of like a display of craftsmanship, these helmets. So that's kind of what this one is modeled after, is more of the craftsman's build. Just showing exactly what I can do kind of thing. Oh man, that looks so cool. I have another one of these masks too. I might do another one in black, but I'm definitely doing this whole helmet again. But yeah, in this time, this is when the Japanese fighters are more on horseback. So this is where I said where I welded these together, it shouldn't have been done. These should have been just stitched together, because that, instead of it being stiff like that, that's a little bit more easier to move. So archers have protection from not only the helmet, but their mask as well. So when they were drawn back, if you're into archery, you know there are 2 points in where the arrow can hit you back in the face. So that's what prevented that. The mempo right here is supposed to be detachable. This is just a model from Ghost of Tsushima. But in the next mask that I make, I'm gonna work to make that removable. This centerpiece here was removable. You may see a lot of them with mustaches. Some of these helmets and masks replicated rank or showed like a status, where more in the European and the American culture, we like to hide our rank. Back in this time, these helmets, these masks displayed different kind of rank. It kind of showed like who the top guy on the field was. Yeah, it's amazing. I love this thing. Oh man, I can't stop saying that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of history behind these. Making this took me a couple of days, aside from just printing. And back in the day, making these by hand with the stitching, everything used to take years. So that's why these became more of like a show of craftsmanship, because the amount of war and the amount of demand for these, opposed to the craftsman, is just like a high imbalance. So yeah, these became a little bit more outdated in time and became more of like showpieces. Just like a little history lesson behind it. Something that I wanted personally, so this is definitely for myself. But I love the way it came out. I really think it's something amazing. From hand stitching it, to painting, to finding the artifacts that I want to display, everything like that. Coming together was a fun process. So I don't really want to move this, but after hitting it with some 180 to 220 sand grit paper, I washed all of that off, and then I use some 400 grit sandpaper. And I've been noticing the higher grit that you use with the wet sandpaper, the softer the filament gets on like the outer layer, and that just makes the print, as far as like, I didn't want to do that, but that makes the print as far as like the color, the final color, a lot more smooth. My Predator helmet, my Ant-Man helmet are both test to trial on that. So just gonna be taking my time with this. I'm just getting it set up to solder all the pieces together. This is the first loop. I'll see if I have to put braces. What I did was made the bottom two a lot thicker infill. I did those at about 10 or 11%, and then these I did at about 5 to 7. So the top should be a little bit lighter. But this dome is a little bit big, so I'll see how that works. Stay tuned. All right, and there it is. Got it all assembled. Kind of looks like a long do-rag on me right now. But I like it. I got my hoodie on right now, so it's kind of like sitting on the hoodie. It took about 30 minutes to solder everything. I just kept duct taping everything on the sides and just kept going up with the solder. So now what I'll do is, of course, hit it with some primer and then sand it again. And this time on the inside, I might have to hit it with some black Flex Seal. Just to like close off the inside, and because I don't want this inside to be red, I want it to be black as well. So that Flex Seal is gonna fill up these gaps and make this inside look a little bit different. This is gonna be the first time I do it. But yeah, so far it's coming out great. I really like it. I have the emblems printed out next. Stay tuned. So I just got the primer on there. Don't mind that. I did that like welding this. I'm thinking, because with this red, I'm gonna do this like a black and gold. The red kind of goes good with the automotive primer black, or it's like a grayish black, but it kind of like goes. So I might leave that red, because it's like a cranberry red with black. I think those two go really good. It's like a BMW with the black outside and the cranberry red inside. That's kind of like the feeling that I'm getting to it. But everything's coming out great. There's supposed to be like little accents in these holes. I gotta check the file to see what the author said about those, because there's nothing in the STL for them. But as far as here, I'm gonna have a horn here, and then 2 emblems. I can show you the horn now. Look at that. It's gonna be nice once it's done. But you gotta stay tuned. So that's the first emblem. I just got primed, sanded. You have the crescent moon at the top. And for the other 2 emblems, I have those printing out now. That's only gonna take an hour. Don't mind that. If you watch Demon Slayer, you know where that's from, or whose that is, or possibly because it doesn't have the extra paint on it. That video is coming soon. But I have this all blacked out. This is the black spray paint. It's like an oiled black. It doesn't make it pop. Now, mind you, when they make the real ones, they're using like leather, real metal, like I forget what kind of string it is, but they use like a lot of stuff for this, for the real stuff. So I kind of got to decorate this a lot. I'm thinking of doing red and gold. So having like the emblems gold and the main helmet red, and then just putting some different accents, just pretty much putting my style into it as well, because pretty much that's what these helmets were. They were used for battle, but primarily these kabutos is what they're called. These were made to just show off like the designer skills that a samurai had. Going to the mask, that shows like a couple different things. So in watching the history, this is actually supposed to be detachable. So when I do another one of these, I'll remember that. And these weren't supposed to be soldered together. I was supposed to use the holes that are there and use string. This stuff I all researched after I had put this stuff together, but as you see, it's coming along. change in color, but besides that, everything's coming out perfect. As always, stay tuned. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna hurry up and do another one. The red spray paint that I have, for some reason the nozzle's messing up. So I went with the satin black. The other black that I had was like a oiled rubberized something black. This one's a flat satin black, and I like this one a lot better. Black helmet, red faceplate. It's gonna go. Now I'm just gonna weave these through. The good thing is the file already comes with them. Again, traditionally, I shouldn't have soldered these together. Stupid American. But the next one that I have, the yarn will be attached to them. So that just makes it a lot easier. Because these prints only take like, each of these, I think this the bottom one of course took the longest. Everything else took like 4 or 5 hours. Wasn't too bad. It makes sanding a lot easier. The whole nine. Let's get these in there. I've been looking at Ghost of Tsushima. I love that game. I had a face mask that I made from that game as well. It's the damaged one. I actually made 2. But yeah, I've just been using that as inspiration. A couple YouTube videos just to see exactly how they lace and what kind of patterns they use. This one I brought. These 2 my mom had, so I'm just gonna make it work. You know what I'm gonna say. Stay tuned. I kind of want to time lapse this part, but to get one of the wire strings through kind of takes a little bit of time. I have to like keep the tip like damp. I was doing like 2 strings at first. That got very difficult. So I just started doing the 1 bar lace. Just put a knot where you start, and then from there it's just basic weaving. Just make an X. There are different patterns that you can do. I'm gonna do the X here, and then you see I still have a top row. Or I might introduce one of those different colors there. But yeah, I have to keep like walking away and coming back just to keep patient, because this takes some time. I can only imagine like back in the day. Mind you, these holes, this is at 90%, so at 100% these holes could have been bigger. But I can only imagine the patience they had back then. And mind you, I have these all soldered together. It's gonna be a different thing when they're not. And I'm trying to like line them up to get them to cooperate. But learning experience here. It's not that bad. Just put some music on and get lost. I'll be back. Boy, did that take some time. And in real life, them stitching these from the full armor to the helmets, this used to take months, sometimes years. Oh my goodness. Got hand cramps. So just a quick update. The weathering shows a lot more on camera, like it's a lot darker on camera. And the gold, that's just like the first layer that I did with the acrylic. So I'm gonna let that set in and then repaint that over. I'll probably use a clear coat on this just because some of the weathering took out some of the shine, or I might just leave it like this depending how it contrasts with the mask. That's just a quick update. And again, with weathering, if you've never done it before, I use acrylic paint, so you just want to use like a real thin paint. Acrylics underwater come off pretty easily, so even if I didn't like this, I could just get some a damp rag and I just wipe that off. But all I did was put some, sorry for my dog, put some black paint in this little spray can top, and I put some water in there and just mixed it up. Got that down to a real like thin consistency. And then I just used this brush here and then just kind of got in like the darker spot, the spots behind the detail. Oops, there's still some gold on there. But that's pretty much where I got. And then once I did that, I had this little wet napkin here, and as you can see, I just like dabbed everything off. So now that it's drying, it's like popping a lot more. But again, you see it like a lot more in detail on camera than like in person. In person, it doesn't look that dark. But I just kind of give it like a worn look, like it's not brand new, like it's been through war, it's been damaged. The gold teeth really make it pop out, so I made a decision. It's the gold teeth. And then next, I just got to add some rope, add the ending emblems to the helmet, and this is a wrap. And this is a perfect fit. Like it sits perfectly on my nose. It's a snug fit right on my jaw. It's at 90%. Now I'm just gonna sand this down again. This one I only did 200 grit and then 400 grit wet sandpaper. And I got this nice and smooth right now. And then I sanded or PLA welded on the outside as well, just to kind of hide that seam a lot more. So now I don't really have to use the bond wire or any filler. I like it. All right. So now this mask came out perfect. I love it. It's beautiful. That red really sits on there nice and thick. I did like 2 coats of it with like a base primer. The wet sandpaper, like I said, really makes a difference in your props. Whenever I use the wet sandpaper, I have a 400 grit wet sandpaper, and that just makes the surface a lot softer, and boy does the paint stick. So I still use a primer after that, and then I do just however many coats that I see needed. But what I'm gonna do now, I have some of my acrylics. So I have white, gold, and black. With the black, I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to try the weather this helmet a little bit. I mean, this mask. Just because where the red sits, it's kind of hard to see the detail. Just because it sits there so perfectly and it's like gloss on the back. So I'm going to use some of the black under the cheeks and over some of the main detail just to get some more of that to pop. I'm debating whether I should do the teeth all gold or like a white with like gold tips. But I'm probably gonna do the outlinings, the big outlinings, with white. Stay tuned, guys. All right, just like a basic piece of string. So I have this one coming from the inside with the knot. Brought it around my head and then pulled this one from the inside and then pulled it out. So now I can tighten it how I need to. And then with the rest, I'm just gonna tie this up and just like add like a little detail to the mask. But that's pretty much it for the mask. So now just to add the finishing touches to the helmet. And it is a wrap, guys. This has been quite a build, but it has been a fun experience all in total. I'm gonna be making more of these for sure. I've been very inspired by the Japanese culture, especially samurai, like karate, everything like that. So this one's definitely a special build to me. I think it's like one of the first ones that I've built just like primarily for myself. So yeah, this one's gonna have a special place. All right, so now I just got the final ornaments. The helmet, I did about 2 coats of acrylic black. And as I add the ornaments, I'm probably gonna like paint these little dimples here. Probably gold as well, just so it goes a little bit better with this background horn. Yep. And there you have it, ladies and gents. This thing is sick. This is crazy. This is gonna definitely be a centerpiece somewhere in my house, somewhere in my room. Now, since I did one, now I can obviously tell. All right, as always, guys, thank you for watching that build. Whoops. If this was something that was cool to you, if this is a build that helped you or inspired you, definitely hit the like button, smash that subscribe button, guys. I come out with new builds as often as I can. I'm always printing something and showing you guys how to do so as well. As always, it's 3DB. Thank God. God bless.